Assassin's Creed Origins. We're here on PlayStation 5 taking a look at the big next-gen update that is now available. So be sure to like the video. Subscribing is great as well. So what are we getting here on the PlayStation 5? Well, the main focus of this particular update is the fact that we now have 60 FPS. That's right, we got that smooth extra layering of fluidity that we will be certainly able to enjoy and just, well, absolutely love. It's great. It feels fantastic. Combat is a lot better. The gameplay feels a lot smoother for traversal. It is just a huge upgrade to the overall experience. Did not mean to jack it like that. I just kind of wanted to jump in on there. So when it comes to the resolution quality, from what I understand, they mostly just went in and they increased the... Oh wow, look at that donkey. That's pretty cool. Increased the fluidity. So we should still be getting here the inherited PS4 Pro scaling of up to 1600p, because on the PS4 Pro we got 1440p to 1600p dynamic resolution scaling. So I would imagine that's a similar case, and with the overhead we should be getting close to a locked 1600p. I mean, with the 60 FPS obviously things might dip a little bit to make sure that we're getting that smooth frame rate, but yeah, it does seem to look pretty fine. I do notice little bits of pop in here or there that kind of are retained from, you know, the previous version, but it's still a pretty good experience. There should be HDR as well, and yeah, it's Assassin's Creed Origins, alive and well, and providing some fast-paced great action. So this is an open world experience that allows you to enjoy the thrills of, well, Egypt, ancient Egypt. You become this powerful individual that grows with this first entry in the series that really revamped it towards more of an RPG type of design. So you get different gear, you improve your skills, you get different abilities, and you explore a massive Egyptian location with so many different places to go. It's honestly almost a little overwhelming, and with the extra next-gen power available, we do get faster loading, which is a pretty cool thing as well. So yeah, there's lots of enemies to fight, you've got the full expansions, and this is the perfect time to jump into this game, whether you are doing so for the first time and wanting to see what the world of Assassin's Creed Origins has to offer, or if you're jumping back because, well, some of us just have unfinished business, that's for sure. There are tons of enemies to battle, things to see, adventures to have, levels to improve upon, and just a pile of unique scenarios and battles for you to enjoy as you take on this massive open world. And I love the Egyptian time period. Like, ancient Egypt is so cool to me, and the way they've, you know, kind of brought that alive here is just fantastic. Like, from the pyramids to ancient, like, hidden tombs to, like, I'm out of ammo, that's funny. You know, the different hieroglyphics, the structures, the temples. It is a pleasure to take in. I can't believe I'm out of arrows, unbelievable. And then you get to just have this, like, really expansive, like, draw distance, too. Like, you can literally, you see that place, you can, like, walk over there. You can climb all these different places. You can see all these different displays being put on. There's a cool discovery mode that I always like to suggest when I'm jumping into the Assassin's Creed Origins experience, because it is a bit more educational if you're interested in that sort of thing. So a lot of this is, you know, foot-based, horse-based, or, well, camel-based, I guess you would say. But there is some water areas where you can go along certain big rivers, and little bodies of water here or there with boats. But for the most part, the experience is about, you know, taking in the world and exploring, and it's really detailed and just beautifully done. I think this looks absolutely fantastic, and now to be able to enjoy this with higher fluidity levels, like with Odyssey, and, well, I guess with Odyssey. Well, Valhalla too, yeah. Well, Valhalla's newer, so it was kind of expected. But you know what I mean? It's nice to have this improvement and this overhead. And I think, again, the game looks just great. It really does. I am kind of really impressed by this. And very happy that we were finally able to get this, because it's been a long wait. I don't know if other people have been kind of following the release of this update like I have, but I am so excited that it has finally arrived so that we can enjoy it and see what it has to offer. But I love visiting the different like locations and places and seeing all of the different like workings of the different people and the citizens. It's so cool. And like I said, there's so many different areas you can end up going. It still has the verticality of the traditional Creed games, but obviously it's a little bit more flat-footed, a little bit more, you know, combat action driven. You can still use stealth and bushes and climb and do crazy assassinations off of buildings and stuff. But it is a bit more focused on the leveling system, the exploration, taking out different locations, scavenging for loot. It's a different kind of game. And also, as I've mentioned a few times, taking a look at this already today, it's not as bloated as some of the following two games are. Because, you know, this did really revamp things, and then Odyssey and Valhalla have essentially stuck with that formula and expanded upon it in crazy ways. But this one still felt, you know, like it felt massive. Like it's huge. Like this game is huge. Like seriously big. And you know, it still felt relatively reined in the fact that like it is something you could finish. Like it doesn't feel like you literally have to waste the entirety of your life working through it. But at the same time, you could probably spend like hundreds of hours working on this one. Depending on your skill, I mean, there's different difficulties and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, do you go and do all the DLC and stuff like that? And there's, like, random little missions and stuff. But you could spend a lot of time playing this. Too much time playing this. But I think for some, it would definitely be rewarding and exciting. And I think there's a lot to, you know, really love about this one. I personally just find the setting to be fantastic, to be exciting to visit. You know, I like the different activities you can do. I like the main character. There's also a connection to the modern Creed. It kind of starts a new, I guess you would say, plot line within the future time, or like, I guess you would call it the current timeline that's going on, because, you know, this is all like in the past through memories and whatnot. So there's a bit more to this in that regard as well. But that's a smaller portion of it, because as it really should be, the main focus of Creed is, you know, doing this stuff, being in the time period, battling along. The big enemies are kind of really funny here. And there's a flow to the combat, and it's a really brutal combat too. I'm sure you'll kind of notice that, but it is like really quite gory and intensive. And you'll have to be smart about how you take on challenges and enemies and foes along the way, because they definitely can have a high level of intensity to them that can be a bit of an issue to deal with, depending on their type of class, too. You get different things like people with bows or people with shields, and the bigger brutes, and some of the high-level enemies. There you go, you see me getting some loot and stuff like that. There's a good variety in the missions. I really love the setting of this one. I genuinely just enjoy what Origins has to offer. I think it's such a good game. Really, really great. I mean, I had a blast playing this when it came out, and I'm kind of looking forward to sitting there and playing some more of it now. Obviously, some people have probably got, like, super crazy souped-up characters at this point, but, you know, I play what I can, and I enjoy the action of it, and I thought it was such a neat setting. Again, being a big fan of ancient Egypt and stuff. I think that's one of the coolest parts of the Creed series, quite honestly, is the fact that you get, like, these different historical periods. Like, there's a wide range of them, and they tend to do things that you wouldn't, you know, expect. But I mean, after you get through so many different entries, it makes sense that you would eventually get to a point where you're like, okay, where can we go now? Not saying that they were necessarily doing that for this one, but you know what I mean. I'm sure they're kind of being like, okay, what's a neat time period we can go to now that would be interesting? But no, I think this one's a good one. It's a great setting. I think it really kind of captures the scope of Egypt and the feeling of it, that it's not just like, hey, you know, it's a desert, but, you know, life can't exist in a pure desert. Well, we can in modern times, but you know what I mean? There's more to it than just a desert. There, you know, there's all these different, like, locations and cities, and whoa, this guy is tricky. Are you kidding me? There we go. Huh. That was a little trickier than I thought it would be. That guy really moved. Sorry, yeah, but anyways, there's lots of complexity to the eras, the time period, what you're doing in this, the challenges. It's just a fun time, the combat's engaging, you know, a good selection of enemies, and you feel like you can take them on maybe a little bit better than you could in the more restricted previous Creeds, because now, you know, the combat is definitely more action-driven. But at the same time, as I've been kind of showcasing, you can enjoy the thrills of Creed from a more traditional standpoint of stealth and tactical movement and hay bales and stuff like that. It's got all the signatures of the series. It's just expanded them in more dynamic and interesting ways that I think, based on the success of these ones, has definitely shown that this is going to be the direction of the series for a very long time going forward. I mean, it makes complete sense. Oh, somebody was trying to raise the... Why is there a horse up there? Someone was trying to raise the alarm. Why is there a horse up here? How did you get up here? Why are you up here? I'm genuinely confused. Who had horse on the top of a castle in their bingo cards for this review? I didn't. I can't even get the horse through it. How did this get on this roof? Seriously? I'm genuinely surprised. Cleaning up some of the dead bodies. You've also got like your eagle too. Caw-caw! So you can kind of like see where enemies are and stuff like that. So, lots of fun going on here. So we killed the commander, killed the captain, looted treasure we still have to do. Lots of buildings that you can go into, lots of surprises in those. Gotta get off of my horse. I gotta say, this is a really cool, like, horse kind of pattern. Like the coat. But yeah, just that's the crazy horse. That's like roach tier horsing. That's what that is. That horse was not just horsing around. Oh ho ho! There we go, we freed prisoners. I guess there's still like loot to collect, but you know, it's just like a area that you can visit and go do stuff in, and yeah, it's just a neat little area to showcase. But I think we should continue our adventure as we head outwards into the bigger open world to showcase more of it, just so you can see how everything is kind of running and handling. How much damage we could get. Ooh, should have done a hop thing. Instead I like crouched into it. Really bad for the knees, guys. Really bad for the knees. My camel friend. There's also like a bit of this being grounded, but at the same time, yeah, they definitely went a bit more fantasy-like with some of the gameplay mechanics and whatnot. Now, I know that this isn't necessarily going to be like the perfect sort of remastering type thing, because you do see some popping and stuff, but I do really appreciate that we've been given this fluidity improvement. For me, that's like the biggest thing you can kind of want for these next-gen consoles, is getting something that really takes advantage of the power of the consoles. Like, it's almost frustrating seeing so many games, you know, kind of release and just, you know, not fully provide what we have. And the fact that these older games are getting updates like this, I'd love to see more games getting improvements, because there are a lot of Creed titles, I think, PlayStation-wise, that really could use, you know, improvements to like the frame rate. I hope that maybe we see that through remasters or dev updates. You know, they went back, they gave us Odyssey as an improvement, now they're doing Origins. I'm kind of hoping that this isn't the end of that, and that they have plans to maybe do, you know, some of the older ones like Unity or Syndicate or Black Flag would be fantastic. But I mean, I am happy, really, really happy that at least these modern ones have been improved. That person just got like mowed down. Feel bad for the citizens. They didn't deserve this fight. I don't know. I'm just kind of excited that this is looking as good as it is, running as smooth as it is. Because this is definitely something that so many have been sitting there waiting for. I can go back to my initial, I guess you would say, like, PS5 review of this when I first took a look at it. You know, when I first took a look at the game running on PS5 and being like, so many of the comments were saying, we need 60 FPS, we want it. And here it is. Such a majestic experience. Great wildlife, too. I don't know if this game gets enough kind of credit for that, but the wildlife and stuff like that is so cool in this one. You know, you get all these different, like, flamingos and other creatures. It's really, really quite cool. And just, like, the quality of the environment is just fantastic, as you see, like, all the density of the plants, and then you go into the cities and the different people and stuff. Really, really quite thrilling. I think this is, like, the Colosseum. Or a Chariot Colosseum, I guess. Sorry, that makes more sense. Yeah, it's the chariot racing, right? Yeah. Very, very cool. Very, very cool to see this. Oh, and you can, like, disrupt everybody's lives by destroying all the plants and stuff, which is kind of funny. Very, very interesting. But yeah, I'd say they definitely have been providing something here that I think a lot of people will like. It does feel pretty good. I think this is an improvement that will keep the legacy of this game going on many, many years down the road. I'm wondering what's going on with, like, the cape thing. I feel like it's maybe, I don't know if you guys are noticing that, but the cape looks off. It's maybe because it's designed at a different, I don't know, that's odd. But yeah, for the most part, I'd say this is great. This is the way that you should be kind of able to enjoy a game in the modern era, and I'm hoping maybe even further down the road, as we get to more and more powerful consoles, that this is something they revisit. I don't know if we'll get to a point where this necessarily needs like a remastering, but you know, if they could even pop up the frame rate even further in another console generation, I think that would be fantastic, just to make sure that it continues to stay up with things and continues to be a good experience. But yeah, no, I'm very happy with this. I mean, it looks good, it feels good. I can't say I really want too much more. Maybe some little bits of pop in here or there kind of finished off, or you know, if they did do a remastering or something, maybe a little bit higher of a threshold for resolution, but I can't say I'm going to complain too much, because this is just like a major upgrade improvement over what we had prior. So yeah, be sure to jump into this one. I think you'll have so much fun. The experienced Creed Origins player wanting to see some more, or maybe someone that's like just never played this game before, you've been missing out, because it is really such a good time. There is so much to see and do in Assassin's Creed Origins. It really, really is just utterly thrilling and exciting to jump into and witness the craziness of this one in action. There are so many cool places, so many adventures to have, and yeah, it's just kind of a really, really great time. I'm trying to find like a good combative type area I can jump into to show that off a bit more, but I'm kind of just taking in the majestic countryside that's present here. It's so cool. Like, we're not even in like the Egypt portion of this, right? Like, there's huge tracts of desert, and we're just kind of like going around through some of the city spots, basically, taking our time. I mean, I'm not in any sort of rush. I'm just kind of trying to enjoy the magic here. Ooh, no, I don't want to fight you. Oh, look, there's birds coming out of the holes. That is so cool. As you can guess, I'm going for this guy too.